Welcome Cancer to your January 2020 reading. Guys, I hope that this year brings you every possible desire that you have. Now, it's an amazing year from an astrological point of view. One of the most powerful astrological years that I think we've had for a long, long time. January sets the pace. We are in eclipse season. And, you know, we have a full moon lunar eclipse on the 10th of January in Cancer. So very deep, emotional full moon. And during eclipse season, the energy is particularly powerful. Things can happen very quickly. Now, just a few days before, on the 7th of January, Saturn and Pluto finally come together. We have been astrologically, sort of the scene has been dominated by these two big players moving together and calling us to, I guess, to restructure any systems that aren't working, any structures that aren't working, whether that is globally, on a more local basis, or personally, the structures within us. Very powerful beginning to this new year. Now, guys, before I'll just move my diary. For anyone that hasn't yet bought a diary, do please consider the Art of Manifestation Astro Moon Diary 2020. It's the first time I've made a diary. It has a rundown of the astrology. If you're interested in understanding the energy, it has a rundown of the astrology for every month of the year. But guys, I was drawn to this particular angel for this reading, honey calcite. Honey calcite it brings the energy of leadership. Not always just leadership of others, it's leadership of ourselves, becoming our own hero or heroine. The energy of honey calcite helps us to recover from any challenging or difficult situations. It supports us in overcoming obstacles. So very powerful energy. It's got a very rich energy. There's a warmth to it. I'm just going to hold it up because I don't know if you can see the detail of the stone here. It's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. You know, from afar it just looks like a sort of a creamy yellow colour, but actually when you look into its depths, there are all kinds of little, just little subtleties in the colouring. It really has a stunning energy. Let me just say welcome. Welcome back. I've dived into the astrology just because it's so huge. But welcome back to anyone that's already a part of this amazing community that we're building. This time last year, at the beginning of 2019, I've been reading cards forever. I hadn't put any cards on YouTube. I started in around, I think it was end of April, May. I put some readings online to see whether they would be helpful to people. I had no idea things would take off as they have, and that I would be able to reach and be able to make a contribution to so many people. And I need to say your contribution in return to me is huge. This community has for me been absolutely inspirational. Your likes, shares, comments, the way you've been sharing aspects of your journey. Guys, you utterly blow me away. You are amazing. And it is a privilege to read for you. For anyone new to this community, welcome. It's wonderful to have you with us, and I hope you will feel that you wish to join us. So let's draw some runes, sitting under the energy of that wonderful, watchful angel. We have the rune of the self. The starting point is always the self. Sometimes this rune asks us to almost like, I'm going to say, get out of our own way. It always, for me, brings a flavour of humour, but it has a richness about it. It's very lovely. And I think it reminds us of what I would call self-responsibility. And I think for me, self-responsibility, when we really break it down, it means our ability to be responsive to ourselves. I think that's what self-responsibility is, and this rune sums that up. It's the starting point is us. If we want to change something or shift something in our external world, we really need to think about how we do that from the inside out. Ultimately, we have You know, I think empowerment is not having power over others, it's having power over ourselves, being able to exert our free will and conscious choice with a degree of mindfulness and, yeah, conscious navigation of life. Okay. We have two runes. We have the rune of breakthrough, very powerful, and the rune of harvest. Wow, okay. Sitting here going, wow. I love when I'm doing the readings, even if they're not a sign or that has any connection to my own birth chart. I mean, it's just, I kind of bathe in the energy of it, which is really lovely. And this is feeling like one of those readings where I'm really bathing in it. In fact, actually, I think the Cancer reading, if I remember rightly, for December, I did the same. Different energy, different flavour, but nevertheless. This is very warm, it's very rich. Breakthrough. Breakthrough can sometimes mean that sometimes we need to course correct. Sometimes we almost do a radical 180-degree turn, but it's kind of like a light bulb moment. It means we step into a space of awareness. It means the choices we make, especially on the basis of our own self-responsibility, our ability to be responsive to ourselves. You know, it's a breakthrough moment. What else can I say? Followed by the rune of harvest. Now, the rune of harvest speaks of a cycle, the natural process of evolution, and it often talks of a year. Now, interesting again, because this is a January reading, so it's technically the start of a new year for us all. Slow, steady progress, the gradual building of something. I feel as though some of you guys are literally going to get, might be a bit of a, you know, like I want to say a bolt out of the blue. That's what I'm actually hearing. It's like though it is that magical light bulb moment, but it's something that comes along and gives you, it opens a doorway for you in some way. And that doorway is opening a phase, a new phase, or a new cycle, or a new project, or a new relationship, or a new phase in a relationship. But whatever it is, it needs to then develop. That's what I'm hearing. Let's draw another rune. We have the spiritual warrior, the pathway of the spiritual warrior. That's what this channel, this community is all about. You know, we are all people here who care. We're all people who are striving to navigate life from a position of, again, self-responsibility, of self-awareness. I mean, I read that in your comments, guys. This is very powerful, to start with the self and finish with the spiritual warrior. I feel like doorways are going to open for you guys in some way. Let's draw cards. I'm going to move the angel further up here out the way because we'll be drawing a lot of cards. But yeah, I'm curious as to what the cards will show us, because to start with the self, finish with the warrior, breakthrough, harvest, it feels like a new phase where, I know a new year is a new beginning, and I appreciate I'm kind of repeating myself, but there is a particular flavour here in the energy. It's like you're being, I want to say, rewarded. That's what's really coming through. It's like you deserve something, you deserve a break. Now, a lot of Cancerians that I know several, I have several friends, family, and for quite a while, and again, this connects in with the Pluto-Saturn. I mean, they've been sitting in opposition to you guys. That's powerful stuff. You know, we've all globally been facing big challenges, but you guys, it has felt like for some of you, I know for the Cancerians in my world, it feels like one thing after another. You come up for air, something else happens. I feel like there's a breakthrough from that space. Maybe the energy of that gets released when Pluto and Saturn finally sit together and then begin their sort of, it's almost like a gradual descent from this position. I feel like we've had, you know, like those, if you were drawing a graph, it would be like a rise, a steep curve up. They kind of hit this space of togetherness in January, and then we move, I'm going to say it's more of a gradual kind of decline. But that's great. I think it's a phase when we consolidate the learning. And for me, this is offering something to you. We'll draw from one of the tarot packs. And for those of you that don't know, if you're new to this channel, guys, in the information box below, I give a lot of free stuff. I put a lot of free stuff into the world, including a free private reading for one of my subscribers. That the details are in the box below. There's also a link to a page where I have listed and photographed every pack of cards that I ever use. People often ask me in the comments, what cards do you use, what runes do you use? You will find them all on that page, and the link is below. So if there are any that really reach out to you that you want to kind of work with for yourself, you'll be able to find them easily. This is lovely. Card of contentment, card of marriage, a card of, but it comes with awareness. It's like whatever new phase you are entering into. For some of you, this will be a new relationship, maybe, or it's not a new relationship. That's not the right, it could be for some of you, but I'm going to say it's more contentment. It's seeing things the way they are, being able to have a real perspective. There's a realness here. There's the gift of realness, but in a very abundant kind of way. Oh, wow, guys. Now, this is new relationships, new phases in relationships, a new degree of contentment coming in. As I said, every Cancerian I know, it's been one thing that come up for air, another thing, just constant. That's shifting here. There's a real energetic shift here. It is as though you are rewarded, gifted something. It heralds a phase of wellness, is what I want to say. Back to this wonderful angel. Recovery from things, overcoming obstacles, seeing your way through something, leadership, being your own hero or heroine. It's like you've stepped up. I think you've had to step up. Lovely. Big cards, guys. The Wheel of Fortune. Things are shifting. And I want to say, actually, I want to say about time too for some of you. I know it's been really tough times. And wow, guys, these are big cards. The Wheel of Fortune, the Fool. But they're all being heralded by a new beginning, a new phase of contentment, a new phase of happiness. But it's grounded in reality. My apologies there. I literally just had to take a pause from our reading, guys. There was a knock on the door, and some of the books that I have been actually giving away over the Christmas period had been just delivered. So, but that's cool. I'm back, and we are going to draw from another tarot pack. Just tuning back into the energy here. This is so rich. It is as though I really do feel as though this month brings you a shift that is a kind of a gift. I feel like it's like source energy is just streaming through. It's almost as if this angel is attracting energy and radiating it out. There is a shift in the Wheel of Fortune and new beginnings. This does also sometimes come with a calling to have to take a risk. So I'm curious about that. New beginnings, and yet somehow it feels as though you are supported. I feel like you're being carried somehow. Carried through some transitionary space. Wonderful energy, Libran energy here around you guys. The card of adjustment. Now the card of adjustment says that adjustments need to be made, but it also asks you, it comes with an invitation. It asks you to recognise the things in life that throw you off balance. And that could be the energy of people, it could be the energy of circumstances, it could be your own thinking patterns, it could be certain circumstances. But it asks you to be particularly aware of and notice anything that throws you off balance. It then actually also asks you, and this is particularly key, I think, in terms of navigating and walking the pathway of a spiritual warrior, noticing what helps you to realign, what helps you to get back in balance. Because when we begin to notice what allows us to rebalance, to get back into our own alignment within ourselves, we can develop that as a skill. And it means that whenever something knocks us off balance, we can actually learn from that experience, and that sort of adds another something into our toolkit, our tool bag of navigational aids, for want of a better way of saying it. And that helps us to realign with ourselves, and it gets us back on track, particularly energetically. Very useful if we are recovering. Now we then have another big card, the Magus, the Magician. Mercury, the winged messenger of the gods. This card is about wisdom. In this particular pack, I don't know how it is in the new packs. This is a first edition pack, so it's quite an old pack. It was gifted to me. And in this particular pack, there are several cards. I think there are 4. Some of them are called the Magus, some of them are called the Magician. I don't know how the new packs are. But there are actually 4 cards, 4 different images. This card is about wisdom. It's about being able to integrate our experience into our knowledge base, so that it kind of experiences transform into wisdom. We learn from them, we become more whole, better people for them, but we don't dwell in those experiences. They remain with us in the form of memory and in the form of the learning and of the wisdom, but we move beyond. We become more than we were because of circumstances, even if it's been a continual stream of circumstances. Works. Lovely energy. Now, the card of Works speaks of steady progress. I'm going to go back to this harvest rune here. Now, the harvest rune is the energy of the harvest rune. It speaks of, there's a story attached to it where a farmer wanted his crops to grow more quickly, so he tried pulling them up to try and force them to grow. Obviously, that doesn't work. This speaks of making a commitment to something that requires work, gradual, steady, consistent work, slow, steady progress, but it brings almost like an affirmation of reward at the end of it, as does the Rune of Harvest. For me, this card and this rune really kind of link up, because it's kind of saying, you know, when you start a fresh new start or a new phase or a new cycle in life, it doesn't mean that stuff just lands automatically. When we start a new cycle of life, we have to sort of, it's like a new phase in life. We have to find our feet. We have to get ourselves anchored. It's almost like if you were moving to a new area, and I've certainly noticed this when I've moved from one area to another, which in my life I have done a fair bit of travelling at different times. I've always felt when I fundamentally moved from one area to another, I needed to kind of bed in, like to re-anchor myself, or to get anchored in a new space, a new way of being, new people, you know, even if there were still connections that I knew. And so for me, it's kind of, there's something being gifted to you to be able to plug in, I feel like, to some kind of source energy, some kind of inner contentment that enables the wheel of fortune to shift. Work is required. Notice what knocks you off balance, what allows you to rebalance. It's keeping that inner center that creates the shift in the wheel of fortune. The Magus, it's that learning from experience. It means whatever you now invest in, you invest in it, I'm going to say wisely. There is a wisdom, there is a warmth, there's a richness, there's a vitality, but it's not like a raging fire. It's different. It's gentle. It's gentle, it's nurturing, it's warm, it's radiating. Radiating is a better word, I think, than vitality almost. There's a different kind of resonance. It's a bit like a fire. It can be really, really fired up, roaring. A roaring fire has that, vitality, whereas a beautifully gentle, sort of simmering, burning radiating warmth fire has a very different energy, and that's where we're at with this. It's really beautiful. I'm going to draw from the astrology cards. Lovely. Earth element stability. That is exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like for the first time in ages, you guys, because so much has been happening, you get to stabilize, you get to rebalance, you just get to, it doesn't mean you don't do anything, There's an affirmation here of whatever you commit to, you can kind of make it work, We've got the harvest rune of a year, allowing things to evolve, chipping away at it. But it feels stable, it feels steady. And for me, with all the Cancerians I know, steadiness has not been on the agenda. It's like just universal energy has been just coming at you. It's kind of like stuff flying at you sometimes. It's almost like you're having to bat it back or duck or firefight. Or that's been the flavour for 2019. I think as we come into 2020, the energy is really shifting, and I'm thrilled for you that it is, or certainly for my friends and family that have been going through stuff. Stability, lovely energy. Second house, owning. This is the learning. This is the integration of wisdom. This is learning from your experiences. This is the source of the real change. And it's the source of new opportunity. I'm really reminded, I read a story in a book. I'm pretty certain the book was a Deepak Chopra book. Although don't hold me to that because I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain that was it. I'm sure it was a Synchro Destiny book. Very interesting read for anyone that's interested in that kind of stuff. I'll see if I can put a link at some point into the book and card page for anyone that wants to connect up with that. But in it, they spoke about how we are the source of change in our world. And he told the story of a hunter who was going out and looking for game but couldn't find any. And he said from a sort of a Western cultural perspective or a non-spiritual perspective, we might begin to think, where's all the game gone? Isn't there any game? But he said from a more spiritual, tribal perspective, if a hunter couldn't find any game, he would go to see a shaman, and they would sit down and work out what was it within the hunter that was stopping him from energetically being able to connect to and find the game that he was searching for. It would never enter their horizons or their vision or their perspective that there was no game. They would always seek to create the change from within. And that's the flavour of this integrating experience into wisdom. That's where the opportunity for the shift is sitting, if that makes sense, guys. I'm going to draw from the Art of Manifestation Oracle cards next. And I want to say, guys, January is a big month for these cards, and therefore for me, because these cards they're my own cards. A lot of people have asked about them. This is the only pack in existence, but the very first limited edition run will go live in January during this month. I'll keep you posted. Every single one of these cards contains a message that at some point I have been personally given along my journey, whether that's a channeled message, whether it's come through meditation, whether it's come in a sitting, however it's landed. There have been key times in my life when I have needed really clear direction, and when I've been gifted those messages, I have made notes of them, and every single one of these cards contains one of the messages that at some point has been given to me. So they're very personal, and as I said, they will be going live, and along with the free private reading that I offer each month in January, I'll be giving away at the end of January to my subscribers some of these packs of the first edition as well. But anyway, guys, I will keep you posted on that. We have the card of uncertainty. Calm the noise within your mind. Get still and meditate. If you are still uncertain, give yourself 4 hours and meditate again. If you are still unclear, wait for 4 days, and if necessary, 4 weeks. the answer will come. It's calling you to trust. It's calling you to create the inner stability. So if things are feeling still a little bit uncertain or a little bit wobbly, that's the energy that's been around for you guys for a while. Just try to slow things down, become centered and still within yourself. That's the way that Source arrives and connects with you. Guys, worth the wait. If something or someone is not moving forwards as fast as you would like, this card is here to reassure you. Hold fast, be patient. The best things in life are worth waiting for. I love that that sits underneath the energy of Source, the sun, new relationships, new possibilities, new openings, connecting to the card of wisdom and the wheel of fortune, connecting to contentment and the need to remain centrally balanced within ourselves. Worth the wait, guys. Yeah, uncertainty. Do you know, I think the two things in life that are absolutely certain, one of them is uncertainty, and the other one, of course, is death. I think those are the only two certainties that we are born with. And our ability to navigate uncertainty, particularly, as well as perhaps our attitude to loss, play very key roles in how we actually navigate our lives from a position of wellness. So, you know, we can create more stress, or we can learn to manage uncertainty in a particularly centered way. That means the energy doesn't impact or affect us too adversely. Now, guys, cards are leaping out. Ooh, here we go. Miracles. We tend to perceive miracles only when our personal desires are met, and yet when we look back, almost all of us will be able to recall a crisis or a challenge that ultimately proved to be a miraculous turning point and an extraordinary gift. This card asks you to see the miracles that surround you right now and in every situation. It's so true, isn't it? I think sometimes the challenges, the ups and downs, actually we can feel like we're just coming up for air sometimes. But you know, retrospectively, when we finally come through and out the other side and we look back, those times are often the greatest gifts. I know that's really true for me. So guys, you know, even if you have been through the mill a bit, it's leaning into the learning, centering yourself, creating that inner balance that causes the wheel of fortune to turn. New beginnings start to come your way. For sure, work is required, slow, steady progress, but there's an affirmation of reward in, as I said, this rune of harvest, this card of the works, and just a little hair sitting on my my card of miracles here. Let's just pick that up and move that back. There we go. But it is really true. I think miracles do surround us. We don't always see life in that way, but when we do, again, it creates an energetic shift within us. We experience life, or we radiate a very different energetic force from within when we can actually seek the learning and appreciate the learning, even in uncertainty. This is an interesting card. We have dislike of others. Now, this is a card that gives us a very different take on challenge. Sometimes we form strongly negative feelings towards others. In truth, it is not them that we dislike, but their words, actions, and behaviour. This card asks you to try to detach from the experience of their behaviour and see them as a soul on their own unique pathway, attempting to manage their own challenging life lessons. This was a biggie for me in terms of learning. But it was a very helpful perspective that was, I felt, gifted to me, because I know that I can get very easily hung up on people behaving badly. And rather than just recognising that the irony is they do actually bring us our greatest life lessons, the key, of course, is discernment and knowing when to walk away, you know, when to actually close a door, being able to navigate our own capacity for free will and conscious choice, and to leave a situation if we need to, or certainly to limit the time that we spend with people who aren't necessarily resonating with us. But if we can see them in terms of the fact that sometimes, even people who we really, really find challenging, they do often bring us our biggest life lessons. It's really, really honestly true. Okay, guys, I'm going to draw from one of the angel packs now, just to conclude this reading. It's very interesting, guys, the energy here. I really feel like you're being gifted almost like a breather. That's what it feels like. A breather, a pause, an energetic pause where you can learn, move through and beyond something, center yourselves. This is lovely. Beloved one, Archangel Chamuel, I am helping you with your spiritual soulmate relationship. So guys, for those of you that are seeking, see where I can place that? Yeah, you're still in camera. For those of you that are seeking a soulmate connection, I would say there is opportunity here to meet someone on equal terms, to enter into a new relationship with your eyes wide open, seeing people for who they are. This card does speak of new beginnings, new relationships sometimes. If you are in an existing relationship, there is opportunity for that relationship to move to a higher level of awareness, openness, equality. Very interesting flavour around this. Worth the wait for those of you that are feeling like you're living with uncertainty within relationship. You're entering a new grounded kind of phase here, and it's your ability to be grounded and center yourselves that will naturally shift your external world. That's what I'm really hearing. We have a card that says clear your space. Archangel Jophiel, get rid of clutter, clear the energy around you, and use feng shui. Now, this is interesting, connecting into the honey calcite leadership. I want to say take charge. Take charge of your lives. I'm hearing quite a powerful message here. It's like take charge of your lives from the inside out. If you're living with uncertainty, this is suggesting and promising that you can expect a shift to a more steady pace of life. As I said, for Cancer, it hasn't been steady. It feels like a new phase is entered that is steady, opportunities for sifting through some of the stuff that's been raised over the last year, really. Energetically clear your space. I'm going to say internally as well as around you. Embrace the whole principle of energetically clearing, whether that's spring cleaning your cupboards or spring cleaning your own internal systems of belief, noticing anything that knocks you off balance. This feels like a month of the gift of a breathing space in which to kind of almost embark on a deep, deep clean. You also have a very interesting card, Take Back Your Power. Use your God-given power and intention to manifest blessings in your life. Archangel Raziel. This is you stepping up, being your own hero or heroine. This is the energy of taking charge of your life, choosing to be in the driving seat, understanding, gaining the understanding from the past year to be able to connect in. And it's like developing that wisdom. I'm actually hearing for us to draw one more rune, actually, just to conclude this reading. We have the flow, the energy of flow. Wonderful to conclude. It's fascinating. Sometimes they actually literally start to chunter away on their own, the bag moves, but I really heard clearly to draw another rune. Flow, the energy of flow, the airband flow of emotions, careers, relationships. It's like allowing things to flow into being, removing resistances one step at a time so that the universal energy can flow with you and through you. That's really the root and the source of taking back our power. It means that we embrace empowerment by embracing our internal perspectives. It's a bit the story that I spoke to you of. It's like, you know, going to see a shaman and addressing anything internally so that externally everything shifts. That's the flavour of the month for you guys. That's the flavour of this beautiful honey calcite angel. Leadership, recovery from anything that's been challenging, abusive, difficult, toxic, overcoming obstacles. It's like you're fed, you're fueled, you're nurtured this month to be able to actually energetically process probably the last year. And to do so, you need to get still. Don't worry too much, or try not to worry about any kind of aspects of uncertainty. I feel as though you'll get clear, the way will be shown. But this is a month to replenish, and the energy is with you to do so. Cancer, moon in Cancer, sun in Cancer, Cancer rising, anyone cross-watching. Guys, it's a stunning reading and a stunning energy for you guys this month. And I want to say really much needed for those Cancerians that are in my world, really needing that breathing space, that opportunity to just recover, replenish, to start afresh. But it feels as though that is the flavour of this month for you guys. Challenge any negatives within you that may be stopping you from moving forwards, maybe keeping you attached to any aspects of stuff or people or circumstances that haven't gone well. You know, kind of it's time to delete those perspectives, learn from the experience, integrate the wisdom into your bank, your inner bank of energy, resources and knowledge, and yeah, just allow things to unfold. So much love to you guys.